Trail Loop, Ocean Band, Alpine Loop. Which one is best? Let's find out. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new around here, my name is Ronan and I make product and tech reviews, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the Apple Trail Loop, Ocean Band and Alpine Loop for the Apple Watch Ultra series to see which one that I think is the best. So if you don't already know, I ordered the Apple Watch Ultra 2 when it launched last September, and I've been using it since then, and I have to say I really love this watch. And when I ordered it with the Alpine Loop, and I also ordered it with the Trail Loop, and since then I've also bought myself the Ocean Band. So I currently have all three. And before we go any further, I just wanted to say that this video isn't sponsored by Apple or by anybody else. I just wanted to share my thoughts on the three official Apple Watch Ultra bands with you guys. And I've actually already made videos on all three of these bands previously, and I'm going to leave links in the description below to those videos if you want to check those out. All right, so let's take a look at these three bands. So in terms of value for money, they're all the same price. They all cost €99 currently to buy from the Apple website. And while I really like all three of these bands, they all have their strengths and weaknesses. So first up, let's take a look at the Trail Loop. So I've actually made a full review of this band before, so I'm not going to go through all of my thoughts in detail again here in this video, but I will say that this is far and away the softest and kind of most comfortable of the three bands. And it definitely kind of feels the nicest when it's on my wrist. And my one kind of major criticism of the Trail Loop when I got it first was that it was kind of causing some skin irritation when I first started to wear it, but thankfully that's all gone now. So either I was just wearing it too tight, there was some kind of coating on it that has worn off, or my skin has just gotten used to it. I don't really know, but whatever the answer is, this band doesn't cause me any problems wearing it for long periods now, so I'm really happy about that. And then just in terms of what I like about this band, it's essentially like a really premium version of the Sport Loop for the standard Apple Watch, which I'm actually currently wearing on my Apple Watch Ultra right now. And this has always been one of my favorite just general Apple Watch bands to wear. And if I just put this onto the watch, it's super lightweight, and it's just great for activities like walking or hiking or anything like that. And it's actually just really nice for general everyday use. So the longer I've kind of had this, it has kind of become one of my more go-to bands for my Apple Watch Ultra, and I do wear this one quite a lot. So the next band that I want to talk about is the Ocean Band. And this one is actually the one that I got most recently. So I definitely feel like there might be a little bit of a novelty factor with this band, but I do really like this band as well. And my first comment about the Ocean Band is, of the three bands, it's probably the least comfortable to wear overall. Now, in saying that, I'm not saying it's uncomfortable, it's still really comfortable. It just doesn't compare to the same level of comfort that you get with the Trail Loop or with the Alpine Loop. And essentially the main reason for that is it's made from this like heavy duty rubber, and it's quite hard wearing, or it feels like it's quite tough. And it's unlike if you've ever had a standard Apple Watch, the standard Apple Watch bands that came with the original Apple Watches, or the Apple Watch Solo Loops for the standard Apple Watch. They are super soft when you get them first, and then particularly with the standard bands, they kind of toughen up over time. This band feels like those standard bands after that super soft coating has worn off. And then because it kind of has that tough feeling, it feels like it's super durable and super secure, which makes it perfect for things like swimming and diving, which is precisely what it was designed for. And then also, just on that subject, because the band is so secure, like it keeps my watch kind of tighter to my wrist than my Trail Loop or my Alpine Loop does. So it also makes it like the perfect band for running, because again, the rubber means that you can kind of sweat onto it and it's not going to absorb the sweat or anything like that. You can just rinse it or wash it really easily. And then because it keeps the watch sort of tighter on my wrist, it means that the sensors are tighter to my skin, so they work better and they have a better connection when I'm doing activities like running or moving or anything like that. And it just means that For me anyway, in my experience, I've never had any dropouts with sensors, particularly like the heart rate sensor, when I'm running, whereas I have had that with both my Alpine Loop and my Trail Loop the odd time. So for me, it's actually become kind of like my go-to exercise band as well. And then just in terms of the look of this band, it looks really rugged and it just fits in with that kind of extra bulky style of the Apple Watch Ultra super well. And then as I kind of mentioned already, it's super easy to keep clean. Like it doesn't absorb dust and dirt like either of these two bands do. So it means that it's just really, really easy to keep it clean and nice and fresh in a way, like you don't have to kind of like put it through the washing machine the way that I occasionally do with my other two bands. So those are kind of all the like super positive things that I really like about this band, but there are two negatives that have kind of cropped up in the time that I've been using it. And the first one is that because you have all these little tubes here, and this is part of the design of the band so that this hook can kind of hook in anywhere to ensure that the band stays super secure on your wrist, particularly when you're swimming and diving. But because you have all of these tubes, when you get this band wet, or if you take it into your, like, say you take it into the shower or you go swimming with it, it's underwater, they fill up with water. And when you then get out of the water, you dry yourself off, and say maybe you dry the band off and you think it's dry, there are still nearly always like little droplets of water inside these tubes. And like if you're wearing short sleeves like a t-shirt like I am now, it's not really a big deal when they kind of come out, you just get a little splash on your wrist, whatever. But if you're wearing like a shirt or a jumper and you're maybe going into work, whatever, it kind of means that your sleeve can get like a little bit wet, and that can be like uncomfortable. It only lasts for a minute or two, but it's just something to be aware of. And then the other issue that I've actually noticed with my Ocean Band is, of the three bands, I feel like it fits the watch the worst. What I actually mean by that is these connection points here where it attaches to the watch. These joints here, there are little gaps here, and you can actually see like there's a bit of movement and play in the band where it connects to the watch. And it's almost like the band doesn't 100% fit the watch. Whereas if you compare it to the Trail Loop or the Alpine Loop, you can see they both have these titanium lugs which attach into the body of the Apple Watch Ultra, and it's seamlessly matched. Like the metal is perfectly matched and it 100% fits the connector port. So there's no play or movement with these bands really when they're attached. They are locked in. Now, in saying that, I'm not worried about this. Like, this band won't come out. Like, unless I actively try to release it, it doesn't go anywhere. So this is purely an aesthetic issue. And I think it's purely caused by the flexiness of the rubber in the band. But in saying that, I have to say, it's just very un-Apple-like in terms of how Apple generally design their products. And I don't know if all of the Ocean bands are like this, or if it's just kind of like a fault with my band. So if you actually have an Ocean band, let me know in the comments below if you have the same kind of issue, or like if yours has gaps between your Apple Watch Ultra and the band as well. Is it a feature of them all, or is it just mine? I'm not 100% sure. I feel like it's probably just a design feature in the band. And yeah, it is what it is. All right, so the last band of the three that I want to talk about is the Alpine Loop. So in my previous reviews of the Trail Loop and the Alpine Loop, I said that the Alpine Loop was my favorite looking Apple Watch Ultra band, and that hasn't changed. I still think this band looks the best, and I think that's very much because I have the blue color that was released for 2024, and I think it is just beautiful. I just really love, particularly on this gray section here, how you can see the blue and the gray are kind of woven into each other. It creates just this really nice pattern. And then on the blue part here, it's almost like there's a little sort of couple of flecks of like gray or black running through it. So it's not just kind of like a matte blue color, it's just really, really nice looking. And Apple actually sells this in two other colors. They sell it in an indigo color, which is very similar to this one, and I think is also very nice. But instead of the blue, you have more of like a purpley look. And then they also sell it in an olive color, which is kind of just like a pale green. And if I'm being honest, I'm not as much of a fan of that one. It's a bit more like the original 3 colors that Apple launched on the Alpine Loop with the original Apple Watch Ultra. To me, they're just a little bit more plain than what I have here. And then when I'm wearing this band, I really like how on the side where it doubles over on itself, you kind of get the loops pushed together like this, and it just creates this like cushioning effect, which is just really, really nice when it's on your wrist. And it just kind of makes the band feel like it's a really premium product. And then this nylon, or I think this material is nylon, but whatever it is anyway, it was a little bit sort of stiffer and harder than it is now when I got it first, but it still felt like really soft, but it's definitely getting softer and kind of nicer as it gets older. So like, if I'm being honest about it, the only thing that I kind of dislike on this band is it can be a little bit tricky to adjust the size when you're wearing it. Like when you put it on your wrist, you get it on your wrist, and like I'm pretty good at this point with it of knowing roughly kind of where I want it. But on those rare occasions where I'm like, oh, I've put it on too tight or I've put it on too loose and I want to go and adjust it, if I have to make any adjustments up here, it can be kind of tricky, and you nearly feel like you need to take it off completely and then readjust it before you put it back on. But other than that, I have to say, I really love this band. Okay, so now that we've gone through kind of all the things that are really good about the bands and a couple of like little issues or snags that I've encountered with the bands, which one is the best? Or at least which one do I think is the best? So when I first got my Apple Watch Ultra, I used to say it was the Alpine Loop. I loved this band when I got it first, and if we were going purely on looks, that's still the one that I would say is the best. But if we want to talk about actual practicality, I think I'd actually have to recommend the Trail Loop or the Ocean Band over the Alpine Loop. The comfort of the Trail Loop and the fact that you can adjust it so easily on the fly, like when it's on your wrist and you want to just adjust the tightness, you just open this and then reattach it. You don't have to do anything else. And that just makes it like a really versatile band for kind of most or any situation. Then we come to the Ocean Band. So again, in terms of practicality, this one's hard to beat. It's just so much more dust and dirt resistant than the others, so you really don't have to worry about keeping this one clean. And it's also much more sort of durable and secure than the other bands. And when I have this band on my wrist, my watch just isn't going anywhere for when I'm doing any of those like activity tracking. And like, what I mean by that is, in order to get the same level of tightness on my wrist with either my Alpine Loop or my Trail Loop, I almost have to have them uncomfortably tight to get the watch pressed against my wrist at the same level. And that's kind of why I think the Ocean Band is so great, because as I said already, like once I started using it for tracking activities like runs and that kind of a thing, it has never let me down. Whereas I have had sort of difficulties in tracking certain parts of my activity with both of these bands before. So that's why I think the Ocean Band is so great. And to be honest, it's kind of the one that I'm gravitating towards the most right now. And then also, I just really love how it looks when it's on my wrist. So for me right now, I have to say the Ocean Band is actually my favorite of all 3 of these bands. And if I'm being honest, I think I'm the person who's most surprised by this result. Like, I never would have thought that I'd be putting the Ocean Band at the top of this pile when I was looking at ordering my Apple Watch Ultra. So there you have it. That is the official Apple Watch Ultra band that I think is the best. If you disagree with any of my thoughts or opinions on any of these bands, please let me know in the comments below, because I'd love to hear what your thoughts on these bands might be. But for now, that is all I have to say about these bands and my Apple Watch Ultra in general. So I'm gonna leave this video here. I hope you've liked it. If you do, please give it a big thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in my next video.